Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Well, yesterday we had a lesson in insanity, and that was what occurred in the ununited kingdom, in which a boy was butchered almost about a year ago. And finally, in the UK, some sort of justice has finally occurred in which the individual that committed that horrible atrocity, that import from the subcontinent, arrives in the United Kingdom and does what he does. And great, they can say that he was born in the United Kingdom. Probably not. His mother definitely was not born in the United Kingdom, but I'm not going to get too much onto that. Now, at the same time, here in the ununited States, it's Freak Show Month. The entire month, unfortunately, we have to accept, or the mainstream media, for the most part, is attempting to push down our throats that the corporate America is attempting to push down our throats, the concept of Freak Show Month. Now, prior to the Trump administration, you would see variations of the U.S. Capitol taking the form of Freak Show Month. And what did that look like? Well, we'll just kind of look. Here's old Dr. Biden, right? Sure. Celebrating her child mutilation month by painting the columns on the White House the rainbow color. And then we're also going to post inappropriate freak show flags in front of the White House as well. And then finally at night, they're going to do that and disgrace the People's House with the rainbow lights of Freak Show Month. So what are you doing for Freak Show Month? Are you going to do anything to counter Freak Show Month? What are you going to do? Are you going to burn a Freak Show flag and post it on YouTube? I mean, that's one thing people could do, right? Burn the Freak Show flags and post it. Do that. What else? You could fire a freak show if you're a business owner and you have a freak show that happens to be underperforming or not fitting your business culture, right? That's grounds for termination. So you could fire your freak shows. Thank goodness we have a Secretary of Defense right now that has decided to reform the military into an actual fighting force to remove those freak shows that have decided to join the U.S. military, not to serve one's country, but for, in many cases, other means, right? And that is going by the wayside as we speak. It is not conducive to have a excellent military career and be a freak show. It's just not. Now look, if you want to be a freak show, by all means, you can be a freak show, right? You have that right here in the quote-unquote United States. You can go out and you can be a freak show. Now, do I have to accept that? Do I have to hire you to be part of my organization if I perceive you as a freak show or as an incompetent? And the answer to that is no. If you do not fit the business culture of my business, then, well, guess what? You will probably have to find yourself a different role, a more accepting business that is perfectly okay with that, right? I mean, that's what happens. Just the same as you have the right to be a freak show, I have the right, as an American, not to accept you being a freak show and not having to have you around me in my business. If you come to my business and I happen to produce something that you want and you want me to turn that into a freak show related item, such as what has happened here in Denver, in the Denver metro area, there has been a few businesses that have been persecuted because they will not make freak show cakes, right? So, no, I'm not going to make you a freak show cake. So what happens? Well, the left-wing government of the state of Colorado has sought to persecute those persons for not making freak show items, even though it may be against that person's religious belief. You have that right. Just as that person has the right to be a freak show, another person has the right not to agree with that person being a freak show and not supporting that in any way. Okay, it goes both ways. It absolutely goes both ways. So look, a very large percentage of the United States, the un-United States, does not agree with this or that. We don't agree with it. So the question is, what are you going to do? And I think this is important. I think this is incredibly important because if people start to do things and take action, whatever that action could be, you could have one person that could be incredibly bold and take action that is boldly kinetic. You could have individuals that may not be as bold, but they're doing something. As long as you do something against this, as long as you take some sort of action against this, you are doing something. You are contributing to this. You do not have to say what you're doing. You do not have to talk about what you're doing. But you should do something. And again, what that something is up to you. But again, on the flip side of this, they are absolutely doing these things. They are forcing these things down your throat. They are forcing this down your throat. It is not okay. This is not okay. This is a political ideology. This is taking something, a structure that is for all Americans. And all Americans do not believe in this nonsense. They don't believe in it. What if we launched something called the National Cold Green Pea Soup Day, in which all Americans are required to eat a can of cold split green pea soup? Now look, some Americans may like split green pea soup, cold split green pea soup. But for the most part, a fairly significant portion of Americans do not like to eat cold split pea green soup. They just don't. And then what if one day you wake up And for that entire month, you have to eat a can of split pea green soup. You have to eat it. You are forced to eat split pea soup. You have to do it. How would you feel about that? Would you start to rebel against the idea of having to eat split green pea soup? Of course you would, especially if you don't like it. If it's not your cup of tea, so to speak, right? Same with this. And it's really beyond what it was meant to be. I mean, we have gone so far into the realm of, go back to this original, you have their massive acronym here, LGBTQIA+. I guess that means there are additional letters that go beyond this. Remember, originally it was simply lesbian, gay, and bisexual, and then they put in the T for trans and the Q for queer and I and A. I have no idea what that even means now, and no idea what the plus means. But there definitely now is an element, and a heavy element of pedophilia that is involved in this. And it's just gone beyond what was reasonable. If we go back early into this movement, right? It was really about the thought process of giving gay, lesbian, and bisexuals additional rights that they may not have had, right? Well, you give an inch, and then the next process is taking a mile. And that's what you're seeing now. You're watching the mile or miles being taken. So instead of a day to acknowledge maybe this is happening, or maybe some folks go this route, we are now taking the entire month. The entire month goes to freak showism. And what do I mean by that? I mean, this is now in the school systems of the United States. And not late school systems, university and late grade schools, early grade school, elementary schools are now doing various things that many people here in the un-United States find incredibly offensive and harmful to the youth of the United States. So again, if we acknowledge that, the question is, if we acknowledge that this is harmful, we have entered the realm of things being harmful, not good, bad. What are you going to do about it? You have to do something. So what is that thing going to be? And again, you don't have to say, but it should be something. Something has to be done. Because they are emboldened. At one point, being a quote-unquote freak show was hidden in the shadows. Because the general population of the United States, now the un-United States, was not going to go along with it. If you did this sort of thing in, say, 1950, 1940, 1930, at any point in our history, probably prior to what? When did this really become a surface-based subject that was okay to propagate? Probably the 2000s? Right? We'd have to look that up, but again, it was something that was kept in the shadows, and that's fine, right? These things are going to exist, and it's going to happen, But once it comes out of the shadows and it tries to become part of the mainstream, that's when society has to push back and say, no more. We're not going to deal with this. We're not going to tolerate this. This is unacceptable. So you, as an American, or you as a Western European, you have to push back against this. If you don't like it and you don't support it and you think it's harmful to your society, you have to take action. Now again, what does that action look like? It's up to you. But you have to do something. You have to do something. Because Freak Show Month is expanding beyond just the month. It really is. It's essentially becoming the freak show way of life. 12 months a year. Freak showism. It would not be outside the Overton window that we could eventually see these sort of displays permanently affixed to public buildings. They're actively trying to do this, to have this day in and day out, 24 hours a day, day cycle to night cycle, 365 days a year. Do you see anything similar in terms of Veterans Day or month? Right? They exist. You don't see it. You don't see any celebration. You see the celebration of freak shows, but beyond that, not much more. The entire month of June is now Freak Show Month. So look, again, only those who are willing to take action will eventually reverse this course. And reverse it along a number of other things we must absolutely do. Who we are bringing into this country, what that looks like, what is happening with that, and not just here in the United States, Western Europe as well. And I talked about that yesterday. And it's incredibly important that if you want this to change and stop and reverse what is happening, you have to take action. If you're in the United Kingdom, if you're a British citizen, and you want to change this, you have to do something. Now, is it just you, or is it maybe 3 of you? It's probably best that if you're going to start to take action, that you contain it to just a few people that you are incredibly close with, that you trust. You have an incredibly high degree of trust. And then from there, you go into the planning phase. Again, whatever that activity is, whatever that action is, as long as it is something, it could be something that only you are aware of, that may affect someone else, but you had that capability to do that. Do it. Do it. Guys, we have to stop this. This has to stop. There needs to be a change, a reversing of the course. It has to happen. Otherwise, unfortunately, our civilization will be lost. It will go away. Everything that we created will go away. stand up, and take it back. Good day.